Hey guys, welcome back. So let's solve lab number 1 from API testing. So lab is saying exploiting an API endpoint using documentation. To solve the lab, find the exposed API documentation and delete the Carlos user. You can log into your own account with the following credential. This is our user account. Fine. These are the required points which we already discussed in the previous video. So let's go. I'm directly going to access the lab. Well, this is our lab. Fine. So first thing, it asked me to log in, okay, and find out the API documentation. Every feature of that API we can find in the documentation, then we need to exploit it. Okay, so let's go. First, I am going to enable the burp proxy on my browser, and I'm just going to access all of these. Okay, and the better way, I think this time, if I split my window into these two parts, so you can see simultaneously. Okay, home, this is our endpoint, and I'm going to add it to the scope, and I'm going to say yes. Okay, go to the my account, and let's log in. Wiener is the username, and the password is Peter. Hit enter, don't save, and as you can see, this is all our request. So up to now we did not find any API path, although we can do this. We can find and we can enumerate in another way by fuzzing the endpoints to find out the endpoint. So I'm going to inspect it. Okay, and I'm interested to see the storage section, because in the storage section we have our session cookie. So I'm going to copy this, and the next thing I'm going to do is open the prompt and cd desktop. Within the desktop, I'm going to access API testing. Fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to fuzz the endpoint. So I'm going to use fuff tool, fuff space -w for the word list. And this is user share derb. Within derb there is word list, and within this there is common.text. Then I need to specify the URL, which is I can take it from here, this URL. So copy URL and paste it here. Fine. Now the next thing, what I want to fuzz, I want to fuzz this endpoint right after this. So I'm going to say here fuzz. So wherever we put fuzz, it is going to fuzz that part of the application. Next, I want to specify the cookie, because now our session is authorized, so we must mention our cookie, otherwise it is not going to follow the authorization. Okay, it will consider you as unauthenticated and unauthorized user. So maybe it will not access all of the endpoints, because authorized user have more authorization or access capabilities. So let's say I'm going to say here session is equal to where is our cookie? This is our cookie. Copy back here, paste that. And then I want to match code only 200 and 302. So whatever endpoint it is going to test, I just want to see the endpoints, those have status code 200 and 302. Okay, and let's say number of threads, I want to use, let's say 100. Enter, and it start fuzzing. We keep this fuzzing, and okay, so here you can see the API endpoint showed up, and the status code is 302. 302 means redirect. Fine. Okay, leave it working. I'm going back to the browser and burp proxy. Now let's try to test account change function. So I'm going to say test at west.xor and update email. So once we update email, you can see we have found here one request which is having method patch, and the endpoint is API/user/wiener. So this also exposes the API endpoint. We saw before that we need to check the base URL or base endpoint. So let's see. What I'm going to do here is, if I go to the browser, you can see once the request is generated, this request is being made and never showed up here in the browser URL. So if we do not capture all this traffic in the burp proxy, maybe we will never know about this. Okay, come back here, just send this request to the repeater. Okay, and also I'm going to copy this URL. Fine, now open another browser tab and let's see what we have. So it's saying unauthorized. Okay, let's see. If I delete wiener from here, hit enter, again it's saying unauthorized. If I delete user from here, you can see something very similar what we saw in the previous lab about Swagger OpenAPI documentation. So you can see there are methods and there are endpoints, if there is any parameter or not, and the responses. So within API we found the documentation. Okay, so what this documentation, what are the methods are here? Getting about the user, deleting a user, and updating a user. So this is same what we saw here. This patch request, where is it? This patch request, because API is the base endpoint and after API there is user. So you can see here user, and after that username. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to first see get. If I say wiener, so it is going to give us information about the wiener user, whatever information is defined, okay, or allowed, only that information we will get. So it's saying unauthorized because maybe there is no cookie. So let's see, I'm going to open that here, API. Okay, and go to the get. I'm gonna say wiener and send the request. Unauthorized again. Why so? Let me back to the home. Okay, let's go to my account. Okay, so you see, because we are not logged in or we may be logged off, that's why it's saying keep saying unauthorized. So let's say login again, wiener, and the password is Peter. Now I'm going to access the API endpoint. Let's go to this get, and this time if I try to put my name wiener, send the request, now you can see this information about the user, username and its email. So as we know that this user have its own password, but this API method is not allowed to reveal the password. So we are not seeing here the password. Fine. Okay, and sometimes what happened, sometimes it's also revealing rest of the information about the user, and this is how you can get the surface, attack surface, right? Fine. Now let's see, if I try to access Carlos user information, and if we scroll down, you can see this is the username of Carlos, user exists, that's why it's showing us this information, and we also get the email of the Carlos. Let's try something else. If I say, let's say test, or we say cybersec radar and send request. So the status is 400 bad request, that means this user does not exist, user not found. It could be also a surface or a vector of user enumeration, so that you can check the list of the users, whatever user exists, you will find out the user. So in that way you can create a list of valid users. Let's say I'm going to check admin, send request, and as you can see 400 bad requests, that means admin user does not exist. But if I say administrator, You can see 200. Okay, that means administrator user exists, and this is his email address. Fine. Now I also want to show you this one, because this is the documentation we saw in previous lab, right? But we saw it in the Swagger. Whatever we do in the UI interface, we can also do it by curl. So copy and back here. Let's see, I'm going to clear all of these and just paste the curl command and hit enter. X get request. Oh, come on. There is an issue. First thing is, because we do not put here the cookie. So without cookie, it is considering as unauthorized. As you can see here, unauthorized. So we need to put the cookie also. I'm going to clear it. Space hyphen capital H for header, right? And within the header, I'm going to say cookie. Oh, come on. Session is equal to, and we need to put our cookie, right? Session cookie, this one. Copy that and back here, paste that, hit enter. And now as you can see, once we put the cookie here, now it's showing us all of the information about the administrator. Although these all the things about the TLS certificate, you can get rid of these by just removing this verbose option. So I'm going to home. I don't need that. I don't need that. This is for new line. Just in one line you can access that like this. Okay. So there are different ways of doing this. Fine. So we see get. Now let's see the patch once we change the email. Right now, if I back to home and go to my account, you can see my email is test west. Right now I'm going to again API, and I'm going to change my email from here. So this documentation is giving us all the information and all the features and getting or fetching the data or sending the data through the API, and what are the parameters there, how the request is working. All these things we can have idea about the API from this documentation. So it's saying if you want to change the password, we are using patch method, and we need to put here the username. So let's say my username is Wiener, and the email I want to set is cyber@sec.radar. Fine, send the request, and as you can see 200. Okay, the email has been changed. If I go back to my account, just refresh the page or click again, so you can say email is changed. And this could be horrible if you can change the email of other users also. So if I go to patch, okay, let's say Carlos, and no, first of all I want to show you the email of the Carlos. So Carlos, and just send this request. You can see this is the email of Carlos, right? Carlos@carlos-montoya.net. Okay, we are just going to change this domain name. So back to other methods. Let's say patch Carlos, and the email address I want to put here carlos@test.west. Okay, send this request. 400 bad request, forbidden. This is good. That's what I wanted to test. So this is how you test every request or every method defined here. Now we need to solve the lab by deleting the Carlos account. So if I say Carlos account, send the request. Now you can see the status of this request now is user has been deleted, and we solve the lab. You can see here we solve the lab. Now if I go back to the get request and we let's search about the Carlos. In the previous request we get 200, and this time we have 400 bad requests. That means Carlos user does not exist, user not found. Fine, and we solve the lab. So that's it for this video. I hope you understand that. If you like the content, please like, subscribe and share. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.